Coming to you from the historic Hart Building in Marysville, California, in Studio 93, In the Tank with Fish, with your host, Bob Fischetti.
All right, here's another episode of In the Tank with Fish. And today, I just want to say, I'm supposed to say, like, share, and do all those things you're supposed to do. Yeah, subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you, Merrill. And so my guest today, I was at the Beale Air Show, and this gal was there, and I let somebody else interview her, and then I found out she was from the Bronx, right? And it's like, I was born in Brooklyn. I got to get her. So we asked her, and very graciously, Merrill came on. So I really appreciate you being willing to do this.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Of course. I mean, another New Yorker, like, yeah, we're connected.
You know, I have to say this before we get too far. I was actually, a good part of my raising was in the Midwest. But I came to California. I don't care what anybody says. The East Coast and the West Coast are two totally different mentalities. Totally different.
100%.
You know?
It's different. I always say New Yorkers, or we'll say the tri-state area.
Yeah.
People are very upfront, like, you know what they mean. There's no trying to read into anything. It is on there. And they could be a little aggressive, but if you're in need, they will help you. They may pick your wallet in the process, but they will help you. Here on the West Coast, I feel that people have this facade. They try to, they don't want to be vulnerable in any way. And it's very interesting, and they're not good drivers. Like understanding the merge concept. Speed up when you're merging. Do not slow down. We are not doing 40 for you. Do you understand me? Speed up.
Oh man! So you, I'm not going to ask you what year you were born. Not going to do that.
I'll tell you.
Will you?
I'm not scared.
Okay.
71.
71. So how long did you live on the East Coast? Because once you went in the military, you don't have a coast anymore. You are wherever the next place is. So how old were you when you went in?
So I was 22 or 20. I just turned 23 when I went into OCS for the Navy. I lived in New York the entire time. I never had an accent. Most people are like, hey, you don't really have an accent. I said, well, make me angry. And a lot of things.
You're going to hear it now.
Yeah, it's a lot of things that come out that are just, that's how it rolls. But so my accent comes out stronger. Or if I'm in New York for a little bit, and I come home, then my kids, they're like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I go, because I said water differently, like, or drawers, dresser drawers. Like, my son still makes fun of me about that. So I stayed in, when I was 23, I went down to Pensacola to start Officer Candidate School.
Wow. So you were already a college graduate then if you went to...
Yes.
So you went to college in New York?
I went to college at the University of New Haven in Connecticut. So,
in Connecticut, okay.
So it was about an hour drive, or an hour and a half, 2 hours in the Metro North. So I could get up there.
Yeah.
Just far enough from my mom's reach that she couldn't sneak up on me. Like, she had to somehow get there.
What you gonna?
But
moms, man.
Yeah.
There's a whole other story of mothers, buddy.
Oh,
and now God. You are one.
I am one. My son. I sent my son off to sleepaway camp, and I'm like, hey. And he's walking with his kids, and then he like looks like this real quick, and then keeps walking. And I'm like, you little turd! Like, I laughed so hard, and I said, it's funny, it's bittersweet. Yeah. It made me proud because he's going on his journey.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love the fact that he's confident enough to. Like, when he's going to leave the nest, I'm not going to have to kick him out. He's going to look at me as he's jumping off backwards going like this. Let's say peace out. Like, and I'm going to be so proud of him when he does that. So
yeah. You know, I think kids, I used to tell my boys, look, I'm not your friend, I'm your dad. Because my dad was that way. You know, I'm the dad. That's how this works.
Right.
And there's actually a Bible verse that says if you raise them right, your kids will be your friends in the end. So I would tell my boys, you're going to get that choice. When you turn 18, you can decide if you want to be your dad's friend or not. My son's in there right now working on music.
Yes.
Right? And it's like I'm good friends with both my boys. But it was that process of having to be the parent, right? You got to be the parent. But man, you want their independence. They're thinking, you're taking away I'm not taking away anything. You're going to earn your independence because I want to know you'll fly.
Exactly.
I want to know you can do it. And you sound like that's how you are.
So I think for me, so I have 2 children. So my son, who's biological, and my daughter, she came to us about 4 years ago. So we fostered her for a year, and then we legally adopted her. And when she came to us, she was 6. And so I tell her repeatedly, like, we're not friends. Like, I'm here, and I tell my son sometimes, we're not friends. Like, we're cool. I love the fact that I'm a safe place for you to open up to me. I said, but when it comes at the end of the day, I'm going to teach you certain values.
Yep.
And, responsibility, integrity, these things. And you may not like the consequences if you fall out of those bounds, but that's what you earn. And I just rather be that hard person as they see, but still the safe place to come to and not judgmental, than to watch them as adults struggle with some of the value systems. So, these are little arrows, and I want to shoot them as far as possible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want them to go right here and be close to the house and be dependent on me. I want them to make mistakes. I want them to do these things. And they're doing well. My daughter, look, she comes from a different place. She comes from a place of trauma and all these things. So we're working through a lot of things, but it's getting slightly better. I say that now, but we'll see how that
It's
goes.
a labor of love with kids. I don't care. And no two are alike.
No.
You could have 17 and they'd all be different, you know? And so, but being a parent is, so I want to backtrack a little bit. So having been in the military, whether people believe it or not, alters your thinking.
100%.
And the longer you stay in it, the more altered it becomes.
Yes.
So there becomes lines, right? Stay in your lane lines, right? There is so many opportunities for specific training that changes how you think about things, how you respond to things. And so, but I think one of the greatest benefits is moving around. You have to move to a new place. You have to make new friends. Your job, you might have the same AFSC, but you're going to go to someplace else and they do it differently, right?
Yes.
And so you learn to be adaptable. You learn to adapt. And I think that you find the places that you're rock solid and valued. And I still, to this day, fold my clothes a certain way. I'm sorry. It's like I tell my wife, don't touch it. I got it. Because it's like it's how I want it. It's how it's supposed to look. Nobody's coming in my house to inspect my underwear, right?
No.
But if they did, it'd be right.
Yes.
So it's like,
I agree with you. When I went to officer candidate school, I think the first time you round the corner, when OCS was in Pensacola, you were yelled at.
Yeah.
You were told how you were a nasty civilian, and how these next 90 days would shape you. And it's like one door abruptly closes.
yeah, abruptly.
It's I don't know. It doesn't slam. It like comes down. It's like thunk, and
That was your life yesterday.
yeah, it's like an airlock.
Exactly.
And you're out of air, and you're like, what is happening to me? Like, the shock is, I just remember when I first met my drill instructor, he looked like Louis Gossett Jr. from Officer and
I love that guy.
Officer and Gentleman.
Yeah.
And he was a sniper in the Marine Corps. Gunny Sergeant Shine, United States Marine Corps, may he rest in peace. He was intimidating and scary and all the things, and he was wild. But, he taught us, and that goes with you a long way. So I think with my kids, especially with my daughter, integrity is a value that's really steep in me. And I find it very hard to deal with children or adults that lack integrity. And it's a hard thing. Do what you're going to say, even if no one's looking. Just do it. It's okay. And most of the times nowadays, we have so many cameras. People see what you're doing. People take out cameras randomly, and they'll catch you in the act. So just, what's the cost of just do it?
Probably had the same thing. They said officer candidate doesn't lie, cheat, or steal, and doesn't tolerate those who do.
Oh, yes.
And we had a guy that got washed out because he covered what somebody else did. He tolerated it.
Yes.
And he got blown out. And, you start with a class of 60. We graduated 22.
Wow.
And it was no holds barred. You're going to do this and you do it right. And some of us, like me, were older. And it was rough. I mean, it was like they didn't cut you any slack. You still had to do it.
You still had to do it?
And it was like, so I did want to ask you, though, because what was your major? Because in the military, to become an officer, if you're not a doctor or that, where you get a commission, appointment, whatever they call it. Right. So it doesn't matter, but you did study something. What was your major?
So my major undergrad was electrical engineering. So I wanted to be a pilot since I was 7.
Man, come on.
Yeah, I watched Star Trek, 1970s. Come on. Star Trek came out in 1969. You had to boldly go where no one has gone before. That show resonated with me on so many levels, and I kind of break it down when I do my motivational speaking. It was just a diverse group of people.
Yeah.
You had Uhura, who was black. You had Chekhov, who was the navigator, who was Russian. You had Sulu, who was the helmsman.
Yeah.
That was Asian or Japanese at the time. You had Spock, who was the alien.
Yeah.
So you had all these
and
people.
Then the engineer was
Scottish.
Scottish,
yes.
Yeah.
And you had all these people that took their skill sets and traveled to the unknown and used those skill sets to navigate. And to me, when I saw that, and they would go to a planet or they would work a diplomatic mission, I was like, I want to do all of that. And so the closest thing was being an astronaut. And at the time, I didn't know anyone who looked like me. I just knew that I was 7 and I wanted to explore space.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
And I said to myself, okay, I looked at Star Trek characters and I said, you've got all these Star Trek people. And as I started reading books, because I would read Star Trek books, they all went to Starfleet Academy. Okay, I got to go to college. They all knew something with math and science, astronomy. Sciences is where I'm going to go. And then I'm just going to build my skill set because I know one day when I'm out in space and I meet my first alien, I'm going to have the skills to be able to deal with them. And so that's how it started.
Awesome.
Yeah,
you were 7.
I was 7 years old. I built this framework. I knew I was going to go to college. I didn't know how I was going to fly. As I got older, I knew there was the military option or civilian option or commercial. I did not want to fly big airliners. I wanted to fly things with weapons. I wanted to go. Then I found out test pilot school. Then I was like, and then I found that Navy lands on boats, and I did say boats. They land on ships. I was in the Navy. I would say boats all day.
They have a term for that.
Yeah, they land on the boat. But and I was like, man, I want to go to the Navy. That was going to be my first choice. Most astronauts were naval aviators. That's what I wanted to do. So I figured that I started at 7, and I think a lot of my family thought, oh, this is a passing phase. In the 70s, women had particular roles they should fill. Mm-hmm. And I also talk about this. When I had my report card, I would put it in this book. And on the back, it would say, what do you want to be when you grow up, on each page? And it was,
come on.
It said, girls, you could be none of these are bad career fields. Secretary, nurse, mother, what else was there? Oh, was it not flight attendant.
Stewardess.
It wasn't stewardess, but it was something like in the flight industry, like flight hostess or something. And I was like, oh, those are so boring. No offense to anyone I love, because I'm a mom. So it's great career fields. But on the boy side, they had firemen,
Yep.
policemen, cowboy, astronaut. I was like, I want that side. And so it was one of those things where there were stereotypes at the time of what roles you should fill. And so me being that outlier, wanting those other roles, I mean, we just talked about it, Barbie versus G.I. Joe or Evel Knievel on a motorcycle doing flips in the air. Like, Evel Knievel is more dangerous, daring, challenges, great, building into my tool set. You know, Barbie was cool, but she just did this.
Yeah.
So,
Barbie didn't even know karate.
She did not have a kung fu grip. Like, Ken was supposed to protect her. Have you seen Ken? Ken has not fought a day in his life.
So when you went to OCS, like you said, that is a change. I mean,
Yes.
all of a sudden, whatever's on the outside stays there. It's all inside, and
Yes.
there's such a bonding of camaraderie. The things that the military offer as a whole, you really do learn to work as a team. But you really had an outcome you were looking for.
Yes.
So when you graduated from OCS, where did you go?
So when I went into OCS, the reason why I picked Officer Candidate School and not ROTC or not the academy, I was never interested in going to the academy. Even as I got into high school, I wanted the full college experience. And I didn't think the academies would provide that for me. I was not interested in ROTC. When I went to college, I did, believe it or not, Air Force ROTC for 2 years. It was not my cup of tea. Look, full disclosure, I ended up back in the Air Force, but at that time, the people that were there were just, how can I say this? They weren't rugged enough for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me go Navy.
There's a reason why they call it the chair force. Okay, and honestly, because a lot of it's support, and I get that, but my experience was as security forces, it was different for us. And after Vietnam, the Army said, we're not guarding your bases anymore. Right, you guys got the people to do that. You're not gonna sit on the tarmac with an M16 and hope we protect your perimeter, other than the dog handlers. And so that's when the Air Force switched to air-based ground defense, and that changed everything. And it moved. That's why I went back in, because I trained people. But there was a different sense. But your average person that went in, it was a lot of desk jobs, and it was like that kind of thing. So the perception wasn't the same. If you go in the Marines, you go in the Army, you're going in infantry.
Right.
You might do something else, but you're infantry first, right? And the Air Force didn't have that. And then in the Navy, it was always join the Navy and see the world. You'd end up on the water in a ship out somewhere, right? There was
your butt off.
There was something exciting, right? In that. But for you were not interested in the ground or the water. You wanted to be in the air.
I wanted to be in the air. I wanted to see the world. I thought the Navy would have more challenging when it comes to landing.
Mm-hmm.
You're landing on the back of the boat, whether it's in a jet or in a helicopter. I mean, that's in itself. I ended up flying helicopters in the Navy for 4 years, but it was amazing. You cannot replicate that flying experience. I'm not going to say unequivocally, but in the civilian world, it would take a lot. You might have to work on an oil rig, but you're still not landing or hovering by moving platforms. And that, it just takes a different type of skill. It takes a different mindset, from my humble opinion, about that. So I was glad that initially, when I graduated from college, I was going to the Navy in New York. I talked to a lot of recruiters. They didn't have slots, aviation slots.
Oh.
So I actually talked to an Army recruiter, took the ASVAB after graduating college, did well, that I was going to sign up to go to Huntsville to do helicopter training. The day before, the guy I was dating, my boyfriend, he was at Yuma, Arizona. He contacted the recruiter in San Diego, a recruiting district, because there was a difference. And at that time, I didn't know. I spoke to lieutenant at the recruiting district office, and he said, if you get out to San Diego, take the test and pass, we will guarantee you a pilot slot.
Wow.
So that is the difference, and I don't know if it's the same now because this is 30 years of old information. I went to OCS because I was guaranteed a pilot slot when I finished officer candidate school. In ROTC, you have to compete for a pilot slot. In the academy, you have to compete with your peers. They have more slots to offer, but in OCS, I was guaranteed that. So
Wow.
I took a 5-day bus trip out to San Diego, met with the recruiter, took the test. They were able to grade it on the spot there, passed. I filled out my paperwork, and then I hung out with my boyfriend for a couple of months working in Yuma, Arizona at Godfather's Pizza on base, being a pizza deliverer.
Come on, a New York girl that can make pizza. You're like a man's dream there.
I was at Godfather's Pizza working, annoying the crap out of all the... If I had to go to the flight line to deliver a pizza, I was a delivery driver. Oh. If I went to the flight line, oh yeah, I was like, hey, can I check out that Harrier? Let me go. Let me look at the cockpit. I'm like, oh yeah, one day I'm gonna be a pilot. And they were like, whatever. Like these were wrench turners, and they would let me go in. I would hang out, check stuff out.
Come on.
And then went back to New York. A couple of months later, I got picked up for officer candidate school.
You were born for it. You were born for it. And I think, I believe that about people. I believe everybody has a purpose and skill set that if it gets developed, they're a rocket.
Yes. Because
they will move in it, because they're now, we hear the expression, if you're doing something you love, you never work a day in your life. But it would appear as though people don't pursue what they love. I encourage my kids, find out what you want to do.
Absolutely.
Don't just do something. Find out what you want to do and go for it. You were 7 and it already, it already was there. And then, so when you got older, it was like, well, this is the direction.
Yeah, it was.
And the door started. Yeah, God, that's good.
So when I talk to,
that's amazing.
I do speaking. So I'm a speaker, professional speaker with Harry Walker's my agent. But when I go to places, I try to take the time to talk to underserved kids. My social media and stuff is for underserved.
Yep.
Because to me, if I get frustrated a lot, so I'm gonna hopefully I won't go tangent too much, or diverge too much. I wish corporations would insource more in this country than try to outsource.
Absolutely.
Because I think
absolutely.
Because I think our talent pool here is amazing. If only kids were being told how amazing they are and how they could be more than what their current environment tells them. And so when they see me and I look like a lot of them and some of them I don't, it doesn't matter. It's about just giving them that nugget or setting that fire in their belly for them to understand they need to pursue something bigger than maybe the 3 things that they're going to know. Maybe get into selling something they're not supposed to, or nefarious activities. If you're smart enough to do a nefarious activity, imagine how smart you are to create something beautiful. Like that's the mindset I try to impart upon them.
I am so tracking with you. I taught youth camps for 7 years, and I would have people tell me, "You're too hard on these kids," and I said, "No, I'm not too hard. I challenge them because I believe in them.
Yes,
you won't challenge them because you don't believe in them. You think they're going to fail. You're playing to their fail side. I play to the success side.
I love that.
I believe in them, and they have proved me right over and over again." So one year we had these really rough boys out of San Francisco, down in the hood, right? So they're up. It's a camp in the country, man. They're more afraid of bears. They'd rather face a gun than a bear, right? I mean, because it's like, God, that's my neighborhood. So anyway, boy, and they the whole time they were like this, right? They're doing their thing. But man, you could just tell they were good kids. They were, right? So man, we worked with them, and I just told them, you don't get out of nothing. You're gonna do just like everybody else, right? Here it is. So in the end, the head guy stands up and he goes, Pastor Bob, we hated you we didn't like you one bit. And I'm like, all right, this is going to go well because I give them a chance, right? And they said, but now, man, you can come play in our hood anytime you want, man. You can come on down and be with us. Because they knew I believed in them. And that's all they're looking for. I want to be loved. I want to be seen. Believe in me. I can surprise you, right? And so I just felt like that's an avenue. And I agree with you. There's a bunch of them that's all they need. And in here, in our country. And instead of tagging a generation, that they tagged Gen X and said they're lazy. But Gen X produced more entrepreneurs than any generation ever in the United States. And so, and then the next one is Gen Y. Well, you know, they're always lazy. It's always blah, 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 blah. But they will take a job for less money if they know they're making a difference.
Right.
I mean, it's like they all have something, you know. If you just, anyway, I didn't mean to get off there. You kind of touched a button on me. So
no, but I think we're both passionate about that. So,
man.
I love that. The Gen Xers were the quiet, like crazy ones. Like no one messes with us too much. But I mean, we were the last generation of no computers. I think I was introduced to Pong when I was 5.
Oh my gosh!
And then I was building computers, you know. 8088s, 8086, you know, 286 computer.
Gosh, that was a long time.
That was a long time ago. That's probably why I got in trouble in college, but that's another story for another day. But I was still from New York.
Once you graduated OCS, you were guaranteed a pilot position?
Yes.
Where did they send you from there?
So you had to get through OCS, so that was not an issue. So when you start, you go to, it's not called Aviation Pre-Flight Indoctrination anymore, but there's a similar program. And basically it's a 6-week program, and the program was all about time management. That's what I tell people. At the end of the day, you do, I think, 6 classes from weather to engines to aerodynamics to, I forgot what other classes. In between that, you're doing all the physical requirements. So you're doing the mile, swimming a mile in the flight suit. You're doing the land survival training. You're doing the dunker training. So you're doing all the things that will wear you out physically, and then you still have to spend 6 hours of studying.
Doing mental,
doing mental. So it's really almost a weeding out process.
Yeah.
And most people will get caught in the pool. Like they'll get in trouble and roll back until they're just done, because, you know, you have to do the platform dives, the swimming a mile. That's a pain because you're in the pool with, like, at least I was with 36 other people. We're all kicking each other. You can't touch the bottom. They're watching you. You're swimming. And I just backstroked my way to finishing that. You just got to be calm and relaxed about it. And so after that, then you get to maybe choose, or you either do flight school, you start flight training at either Pensacola, or you go to Corpus Christi, Texas. So I ended up PCSing to Corpus Christi for about 1.5 years to do my flight training, which was fun. It was good.
So you said you flew helicopters.
I did. So you go to flight school first.
Uh-huh.
Once you're finished with primary flight school, you go through a selection process. And then in that selection process, at that time, your choices were jets, props, helos, or E2C2s. And so I picked jets first, E2C2s, helos, I did not want props, no offense to the heavy guys, just not my thing. And I got helicopters. So went from Corpus Christi back to Pensacola at Millington, where helicopter training is for advanced training. And I was there for another year, and got winged in 1996. So it was a fun time.
I had a friend that he was Army. I think it was Fort Rucker where he learned to fly. He was a warrant officer, flew helicopters.
Yes.
So one day we're all sitting around and we're talking about dreaming. And you know, somebody said, well, when I dream I'm flying, I fly like Superman. Other people are like, I flap my wings. And Dave goes, I dream like and he said, I flew helicopters. He said, when I'm flying, this is how I see myself. He's like, I was like, you gotta be kidding. But yeah.
That's hilarious. No, If I'm dreaming, I'm flying. Well, I've flown different aircraft. So I've flown helicopters. You know, as a T6 instructor, T34 instructor. Then I flew U-2s, high altitude, T-38s. I was an instructor in that. So when I'm flying, it's pretty fast over the ground, high up, like an eagle soaring.
Yeah.
And watching below.
So you didn't become an astronaut.
No.
Right?
Not yet. I got a couple of years.
Exactly. But I was going to go there. But the U-2, because you did that isn't that right at the edge of space? Isn't that the whole thing with that?
Yes. So
that it was. I mean, what an experience! You had to be having Star Trek flashbacks when you could look down at the Earth. You had to be going, "Oh my gosh, I'm here." That had to be amazing.
It was. It's so we fly above 70,000 feet. That's one class, and so it is. I'm one of 1,116 pilots that have flown the U-2 in 70 years. This is 70th anniversary. I'm the only black woman who's flown it. There have been 12, maybe 12 women who have flown it in the history. And it's one of those where, number one, I didn't think about that. I just wanted to be with a brother and sisterhood of people who did this mission.
Yeah.
And that I never thought about. It was only till one of the GS workers like whispered in my ear, like, "Hey, this is what's going on." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like in my mind, I'm just like, I just want to fly and like survive this, because the U-2 is a very challenging aircraft. Like she'll kill you in a heartbeat if you disrespect her. Like of all the aircraft I've flown, and so yeah, flying when I flew solo above 70,000.
Wow.
For the first time, the first 2 flights you're flying with an instructor after you solo. But when I flew by myself and you get that moment to just not hear someone in your ear and it's a single seat aircraft, you're just very thankful at the fact, I'm like, if my career ends like this is amazing. Like I can't be mad that I didn't become an astronaut. I can't be upset about that, because my journey has been, I have done things that most people in their lifetime will never do. They will never see the Earth from that altitude. They will never see the perspective that I see.
Yeah.
And have the thoughts that I have as a military person, as a person that says, our life is so fleeting. It's so small. It's like an hourglass with that one grain. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
And some people they just waste it. They get wrapped up in their ego. They get wrapped up in everyone else's lives. Like, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to make use of it, and how are you going to help others? And so I was like, man, this is amazing. Especially at night, unlimited stars. Like you see lights that maybe that star doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
It has reached you in that moment. Constellation galore. And, I can't. Yeah, it's.
I think we probably are both sci-fi nuts, right? In terms of there's more out there, right?
100%.
And I remember thinking it may not happen in my lifetime, but I believe that we have what it takes to explore other worlds. I believe it.
Oh, yes.
Right. So when people make fun of, I think it's Elon Musk that said, I want to go to Mars.
Yes.
Well, they made fun of us wanting to go to the moon, right? And it's like some people are like, yeah, you're never going to, right? But I'll never forget, and I probably might not have the right astronaut, but I think it was John Glenn. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But he said, when you leave the Earth's atmosphere, he said there is a peace that he couldn't explain. And I always think about that when I see those, when they're just traveling through space, right? And I just think, I know maybe they're going to have a battle before it's over, but there is that moment. I just can't explain it. It's like, that's got to be maximum peace, right?
It's like you're in the eye of the storm. It's when you're in the U2, you can hear yourself breathing. You can hear the quiet hum of the engine. You can't really feel as much. It's just you. And for some people, being with themselves could be a scary place.
Yeah.
It could be very daunting. We saw in COVID how rates of a lot of bad things, alcohol abuse or drug abuse, addictions, mental health, how it increased. And some of it, I used to say, is because people being by themselves, they got to look in the mirror of who they are.
Yep.
And it broke their brains. For me, when I flew into U2, being by myself, I just loved it. It was like, oh, what are we going to talk about today, self? Oh, well, let's talk about what you did a couple of days ago. Like as your trip, I'm going into a theater, and I have my mission, but I have time to transit, and I'm thinking about it, and you're honest with yourself because you have no other choice but to be. Yeah. And then you reflect upon yourself. You reflect, or maybe you're reading a book and you reflect upon things, and it gives you that moment. And that's like really peaceful for me. And so I enjoy being by myself. I enjoy the alone time. I enjoy being critical of myself. I enjoy testing my limits. Hey, did you go far enough? How could you have done this differently?
Clarity.
The clarity. And it makes you just such a stronger individual in the mental toughness game.
Is there a standard flight time in a U2? Like how long? I mean, it probably has its limits, fuel, right? But and I'm sure they don't run you on empty and then good luck getting back in, right? So is there a standard? Like, are you up there for an hour, 2 hours, right? So you get that time. How long?
So when we were training, our training missions usually, if we're doing high flights, about 5 hours.
Wow.
So missions, when I was in OEF, OIF, Afghanistan, Iraq, the missions ranged anywhere from, or Korea, anywhere from 8 hours to approximately 12 hours. So the longest I've been in the aircraft was over 10 and a half hours.
You could circle the globe in that time.
Well, the U2 are, the higher you go, the less fuel you're going to burn. So we don't have a refueling probe, but our on station time and our loiter time is incredible. It's classified, but it's more than what people think.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that. There's a reason why it's still in service.
Yes.
And
this is last year, but we'll see if it gets extended one more year.
Well, we had one of the pilots on, but we were doing the podcast for the Beale Air Show, and he really knew, and he talked about all the different times that the U2 has been upgraded.
Yes.
So it's not the original 1950s U2, right? So it's always been upgraded. And he actually said, for all he knew, they'd upgrade it again. It may not be done. They think so, but, right? It's like, well, if it's done, you're going to have something to replace it. And the SR-71 didn't work.
Yes. The SR-71 was, it wasn't cost efficient.
Yeah.
I think that's the main reason.
Yeah.
It leaked a lot of fuel. But, if they put the if the SR-72 came out, yeah, I put my name in the hat for that.
In a minute.
Oh, go, as we say, go mock snot. Yes.
Oh my gosh! So now, you're retired militarily.
Yes.
Yeah, and so and you retired as a colonel.
I did.
Gosh, that must have been exciting.
It was.
I remember making captain and thinking, I don't know why. That's all I wanted.
That's awesome.
It was like I thought I should be a captain, and I made captain, and that's company grade, and that changes what you do.
Yes.
Right. Field grades, major, blah blah blah. You know, and so there was something about that. But every colonel I work with, I work with some, exceptional colonels.
Okay, I didn't know where you're going with
that. Okay, so there were those other guys,
yeah,
right? And they made us read Once an Eagle.
Oh, okay.
In Officer Candidate School, and it's a story of two officers. Basically, one's a staff officer, the other's a line officer, and we had to write the essay for graduation on leadership based on these officers and movies and everything they sent us. And I remember thinking, because I was enlisted, so I was a Mustang, and so it's like I don't want to be that far away from the troops, right? So I want to be there. So it helped me make that decision, right? And so, but anyway, so I worked with some colonels who that was how they were. They love headquarters. They'd go there and do what they had to do. But man, they wanted to be with the troops. They wanted to, they wanted to make sure that the next group got what they needed. And I love that. I just love that. And you sound like that's the way you were.
I was so Navy raised on leadership, right? So I was, I had jobs of leadership, small jobs as a O2 Lieutenant JG. As I became an instructor, my last job in the Navy was a Navy instructor at Moody Air Force Base, flying the T-6. The T-6 had just been purchased by the Navy and the Air Force. So I was one of 4 instructors that were training both Navy and Air Force students on the Air Force Base. I got promoted to lieutenant commander, but I never pinned it on. When I went over to the Air Force, I switched over to fly the U-2. I became a major select, and when I became a major, I think I waited a year and a half because my line number was a little bit less. And as a major, you start taking on, like, you become a director of operations. You get groups of somewhere around 100 people. You could tell that the other majors, just wanted to fly all day, and this is the Air Force side. They wanted to be, as I say, technicians. And there's a point, which is nothing wrong with that. You can fly your aircraft, do your things, be worried more about yourself, maybe have a couple of people who you're in charge of. But one of my first jobs was the DO of the 9th Physiological Support Squadron. We used to call it PSD. And there were about 130 people in there. And I didn't want the job because I knew I was coming on the heels of the previous DO being fired for a case that involved that individual with an enlisted person. So, and there was it wasn't sexual assault, but there was sexual misconduct. And so I didn't want to go in there because I knew the drama. But as the ops group commander said, he's like, Merrill, you're going. And I remember I was in his office, it's just him and I go, come on, man, don't do this to me. And he goes,
Have you got somebody else you can send?
I just totally broke bearing, and I was like, I don't want this. He's like, Merrill, you'll be fine. So I went in there, and that was one of the best leadership positions I ever had. There was some difficulty in the beginning, but it was because of, I think, my Navy upbringing. It wasn't anything that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
Because I was a maintenance officer, a debt maintenance officer. I had like 15 guys. Some of them got in trouble, went to CCU, which is, custodial unit, all these things that I had seen. And I went there, and the men and women were about the same age, around 26, where I was many years ago. And so I was like, this is amazing. And I got to be this positive influence, and I got to really, use my leadership skills in ways. I made some mistakes, but there were a lot of things that I did very well. And I said, I like this. I like being with the troops. I like being with them sometimes in the foxhole, or defending them when you go to the group or to the wing and doing these things. And so I knew that flying for me, I love flying. I wanted to be an astronaut, but I also knew that I had something here on the leadership side that I wanted to do. And I knew it would, I can't tell you anything else. I knew it would transfer better once I left the military, because all military service comes to an end.
Yeah.
And most of the times, a lot of times people don't do it on their own terms. And I knew for me, it was going to be on my own terms. I didn't think I was going to make colonel. That's another story for another day. Because I didn't have that backing, being a Navy person in the Air Force.
Yeah.
But once I did, that was a game changer.
Yeah.
It was a game changer because I knew I wasn't groomed in the way that other colonels were.
Yeah.
And I knew I had the Navy background. And I knew that I loved the enlisted troops and younger officers. And I was all about mentoring them.
Yeah.
Because I had been shown that mentorship is something that is very, very powerful in your arsenal in terms of leading people and doing things. I mean, don't get me wrong. As I used to say, I could put my a-hole hat on and do what I need to do. And there's some things that are, some things you can't change at that moment. But even if that happened, I'm going to walk with you. I usually say, and I tell my kids this, I may yell for you, I may yell with you, at you, or for you, but I'm always in your corner.
Yeah.
And there's going to be times that I'm going to have to lay the hammer down, or you're going to have to learn a life lesson, or you're going to have to do something, but I'm always in your corner. Even though you don't think I am. So.
And that's how it is in leadership. That's such a key point.
Right.
I remember this colonel telling me it was a uniform inspection thing. So he took me in and showed me his uniform, and he pointed to this ribbon and he said, Lieutenant, you know what that is? And I said, yeah, it's a good conduct ribbon. He said, officers don't get that. It's expected of them.
100%.
And he said, you have one. They're going to know you're a Mustang. And I was like, and he said, so your ability, he said, that's why I picked you. Because I graduated from OCS, and this colonel walked up and he said, congratulations. And I thought he was congratulating me for graduating, right? And I said, thank you. He said, you're the new commander of RTFN. And I was like, I'm a commander? It's like, I don't know how to do that, right? But really, I did.
Yes.
You know, it was one of those things. So you're right. It never changes. Those things that are in you like that, to mentor, to see somebody achieve who they are, it's thrilling. It probably is, of all the things, to make a difference like that, to know. I mean, I was able to step in there, and like you, the previous commander it was a mess, right? And so, I got handed the mess, right? And it was like, oh, okay, I'll start with what I got, build it, and do what I got to do. But it was that skill set that you find out that is in me.
Yes.
So not only are you mentoring, but you're finding out the skill set that's in you.
Yes.
It's been put in you since you were 7, looking up at the sky, and going, I want to go out there, right? It's like, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was something about it. But I had never, again, I learned a lot. I mean, I had complaints filed against me. I had an MEO complaint filed against me. So I was like, I must be doing something right.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. When they come after you, it's like,
I was like, I have an I was like, and that's equal opportunity complaint, by the way. So that doesn't make sense to me either. Like, I'm looking right at the camera. Doesn't make sense.
I want to get to this before we get to the end. And it's like, you mentioned that people have you come as a speaker.
Yes.
How does that work? I could see where you would be a motivational speaker. Your life is motivation, And so before I get any further, I've told you, but I'm going to tell you again, thank you, Merrill, for being willing to come in here, because I feel like I missed out and I was not happy. When I found out you're from the Bronx, I went, how come I didn't do that? I should never have given it to her, but she did a good job. It was great.
Yes.
But I wanted something more. Right. And I knew it was there, and we've had it. It's that connecting point. Right.
Yes.
And so how does somebody go about having you come to encourage a group, and what kinds of groups do you speak to?
Wow. So
is that a lot?
That's a lot of groups. So I'm a speaker. Harry Walker Agency.
Okay.
They're my agent. Haley, she is my agent. But I've spoken to elementary schools, to Meta, to Airbnb, to Brown & Brown Insurance Company. So I've gone to charter schools in the Twin Cities to speak to 1,000 kids. I have, so that's a broad range of people, and it's a broad range of companies. I've had private companies. I've had Fortune 500 companies that have had me speak. Reach out to my agent. I tell people to DM me. I'm Dragon Lady 788 because I'm the 788th pilot flying the U2. The U2 is called the Dragon Lady. Reach out to me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and then just DM me. Some people are so shocked. I had one gentleman, retired Air Force. He was a nurse. He lived in Buffalo. He at-risk youth. He held this program. It's such a funny story because we're good friends now. He reached out to me on LinkedIn and he's like, hey, I got a request. And he said in 6 minutes, he's like, you answered back. And I go, well, yeah, that's social media. That's what I'm supposed to do. And we just laughed. I said, I'm not going to wait a day. I saw it pop in. I go, oh, hey, Bill, what's going on? And he was just like floored. He was shocked. And so I'm typically a quick responder. However, if you do Instagram or LinkedIn or reach my agent, those are the quickest ways. But if you go Facebook, it may take me like a week because I don't get on Facebook as much. And then, I have a YouTube. So I use social media for what it's for and the positive side, not the echo chamber of your thoughts type. But that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. And I'm always willing, especially if I'm doing a speaking engagement that's paid, if I'm in your area, I will take the time, because I usually have the time, to come out and speak to a group. Not all the time, but I try. I try really hard because I think it's really important that, man, I've had so many mentors. I was wild as a kid. I did some wild stuff.
You notice I avoided the what were you 13 like at 13. I did avoid that.
You can ask me the question.
I didn't, because I avoided that.
I'll tell you how I was, I think, in kindergarten. So I also have a book, and I write about it. I was so obnoxious as in kindergarten. They wanted to put me in a special ed class. And I started crying because I saw, like, this is no offense to the special ed classes, but I saw the clientele there, and that was not me. So, like, I was acting up because I was just so, I had so much energy. And then when I went to high school, another part, I went to high school, we had a planetarium. I went Truman High School in the Bronx. And so they had a planetarium, and they had a Native American at the time museum inside. The high school was 7 stories. And I wanted to try out for the planetarium squad. I wanted to do it because it was a planetarium, stars, learning about space. That was my thing. I went there, and they had this they had this workspace of all these things that they would do, soldering, all these things. And I could not help myself but to touch everything as if I had OCD. I pissed off the lead guy so much.
I bet.
He did not want to hire me because I was like, "Ooh, what's this? What's this? What's this? How's this connect? How's this?" And they're like, "Who are you?" And so his boss was like, "No, let her stay." And we still laugh about it to this day. And, Karma has, she's really funny that way. My son touches everything. Not only,
what do they call that? You reap what you sow.
Oh,
if you were like that, it's going to get back to you.
Oh, man, my son, 2 things he does. I'm not a morning person, but my son sings like no one's business in the morning. He's so happy. He's a theater kid. But his ability to just, like, figure out stuff and touch things and do that, that was my DNA. And I'm like, oh, man, I was such a pain in the butt in high school. I'm so sorry. Terry Buckhalter, Mr. Feldman, I'm so sorry.
I went through that. I wanted to call people and say, "Hey, I'm sorry I was in your class," but
my apologies. In my high school and junior high school years, I had I was one of those, but I had a lot of mentors that didn't see that as they saw that as potential instead of just dismissing me. They put up with my shenanigans. So I really try. My son, I have no choice because he's incredibly talented. But my daughter is talented in other ways. We have to go down a different journey for her. But with other kids, if I have a chance to do it, I will. I'll get out there. Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
All right. So when we were at the air show, I met a gentleman by the name of Phoenix, 18 years old. He was with a lady who used to work at the tower at Beale. Elaine, she's great. And we connected. She goes, "Remember me? I used to work at the tower." I said, "Yeah, I remember. We talked." I remember her voice more than her.
Yeah.
And so she introduced me to Phoenix. So Phoenix positions, at 17, he was incarcerated. He shot someone twice. I won't even tell you where. But when he told me his story, I was like, I love to videotape you because you're with Elaine and you're doing well in incarceration. He was going to be released early. And it's up on my YouTube. But when he told me this, I was so shocked. I said, first of all, I'm going to be your mama for a second. Why are you carrying a gun? Like, we went through this whole thing. And it was in self-defense, but he had been a model citizen. And most young men and women who are in that situation might discount themselves and say, I made this mistake. It's the end of my life.
Yeah, and I'm carry it forever.
I'm going to carry this. I'm going to carry this baggage forever. But he was with Elaine, who kind of showed him that there's so much more. And he is still so looking forward. He should be released in about a week. He's going to go to lineman school. He has a date set.
Oh, man.
He was interested in aviation. That's why she brought him to the air show. He still had his ankle monitor on, but he's doing well. He's in this program. And I was like, I looked in the camera. I said, Darcy, we got to get this young man an incentive flight to go fly. And maybe we'll get him off the line to the actual flight line to work. And so she pulled through. I saw him again a couple of weeks ago, gave him the certificate. I was like, call up. Like, that's the type of stuff I love.
Yeah, yeah.
And this guy, he's great. He's 18. You know, we're at lunch. We're talking. I'm like, you know, who you dating? Like, I'm like his auntie. Who you dating? You know, blah blah blah.
She good for you.
Yeah.
There's nobody good enough for you.
That's how I was.
You ain't nobody.
And I'm like, you need to focus on what you need to do. This is short term. I was like, you make sure you do X, Y, Z. Like I was just like the aunt. But I was so super proud of him. I mean, I just met him, a couple of months ago, not even 2 months ago. Yeah, 2 months, almost 2 months ago. And that's how I treat these kids when I talk to them. I'm like your aunt.
There's a need for that. I find myself doing that. You know, I'm just a dad, right? I'm a dad no matter what. I mean, I meet people all the time and they recognize it. You know, you're in that father role and it's like, well, you know, I didn't ask for it, but it's part of who I am. And I feel like, well, you know, you hear the story that, you know, in the United States, we're short of fathers.
Yes.
Right? And it's like, well, okay, well then, God, wherever you want to put me, I'm going to be a dad, you know, and so.
Oh, that's a beer.
All right. All right, I'll call her in a minute. All right. So I have to give you something.
Oh.
You can only get this by braving the tank.
Yes.
And you.
Oh, thank
and
you
of
so
all
much.
the things you've accomplished, it's probably not high on the list, but it is on the list. She's in the tank.
I love that. Fish. I'm in the tank. Thank you so much. This is amazing. I love this. So, yeah, I love what you're doing. I love, you know, if you're not mentoring at this age, you're wrong to give people. But I love the fact that you reach out to people, and we have that networking capability to connect the dots for people.
More now
than ever. Like more the fact that I was able to get him a flight.
Yep.
Or I could see someone and go, and another young man who was interested in not security forces, but special ops, special forces.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I know a maintenance guy who has a daughter who does the area region for the Air Force for PJs and all that other stuff. So let's make that connection. Like we connect the dots. We're the dot connectors. I love it.
93Q Radio was an opportunity for what's called an LPFM to give the community a voice.
The big part of what's happening here is it's us. It's the community of us.
The work that Mr. Fischetti has done with us to promote public education has been absolutely groundbreaking.
They have the pulse of our community from the nonprofits to the local governments. If you want to find out what's happening in our community, get on board with 93Q.
And 93Q does so much to help our community, helps us promote our local events, as well as local businesses, and tell our story about what we do here in Yuba Sutter.
The folks that work here, they're part of our community, so they understand our needs, and that's important.
Local radio is so important during times of emergency. They're there. We lean on them to provide information to our public.
My wife and I are glad to support 93Q. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, but I really recommend that if you want to make your community better, this is a great place to take a first step right here.
So if you can, reach deep into your pocket and give to 93Q.
93Q is a great partner for law enforcement, and they're a great partner for the Yuba Sutter area.
We're really asking people if you can give $10, $15, $20 a month, and then that enables us to continue to put small business spots on the air, nonprofits, organizations that are they're using every dollar they got just to operate, and they don't have extra money to spend on really promoting their cause. And that is why community radio, to me, I'm grateful to be part of it, and that's why it's important. You know, I have to say this. You are definitely not a one-time interview. You've got so much. You got so much.
Let's go. I'm ready.
So if you're willing, I'd like to do this again, because I know we kind of covered very quickly, but there are things that you've experienced that they're in your toolbox. They're part of your skill set.
Yes.
And I would love to get an opportunity to dig a little deeper into that whole concept of mentorship. How do we become our ceiling is their floor, right? How do we stand in such a way? And I think that would be a great thing to exchange and talk about, and maybe encourage other people that don't think they're a mentor, but yet there's such influence on young people around them, and they don't even realize it, to make a difference. I feel like our nation has done its typical pendulum swinging, blah, 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 and the kids are caught in the middle of that. Yes. And it's like, okay, well, you can't do anything about Washington, D.C. or Sacramento, but you can make a difference where your feet are planted. And I think they need to know that. They need to be encouraged. You can make a difference. You're valuable. And
let's take that other change that's coming very quickly. AI. AI is changing the landscape. I don't think there's a kid right now that I don't talk to say you need to have not only a backup plan, but a tertiary plan.
Yep.
You need three things: what your goals are, and how, if that doesn't work out, what are you going to do? Because I whisper in my son's ear all the time, he wants to be an actor. And I go, acting is going to change. And I said, there's theater acting, there's movie acting, there's all these things, but how is AI going to change that landscape?
Yeah.
And so kids are, they talk about, Gen Xers, you give us a cardboard box and a crayon, we're happy all day. For these kids, they have to understand that they are going to need tools, they're going to need to be flexible. They're going to need to understand that delay, it's one thing I'm thinking about, delay is not denial.
Yep.
And delay means you have to start working on maybe something else or going into a different direction. Those are things we have to impress upon them, because I think this is going to come quicker. And those trade skills, I'm a foundation board member at Sierra College. I take welding classes. Trades are in. And if it's not a backup plan for you, how are you going to use your hands? Maybe you should start thinking that way. So, yeah, we could talk all day about
this.
We're
coming back in. So, listen, I want to thank everybody for watching. Merle, you're a delight, man. You are just a kick.
Thank you.
A kick in the shorts, right? So I'm going to have her back. Leave a comment if there's something you'd like us to talk about. But I really, for me, I love these, because when you find out about a person and what they do, you automatically begin to see the things that are going to change around them because of who they are. And I think that things have changed around Merle because of who she is. And that's why I told her before we came in here, I'm going to talk about who you are. And I think that you folks, you got a chance to see who she is, and that she is by no means done. So we're going to have her back. So thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, follow,
subscribe, comment,
leave a comment. God bless you, great big. See you next episode.